Last is continue your discussion on PPE. We're done with part 1 costing. Let's move on to part 2 depreciation. To recall, under the cost model, PPE is presented in the balance sheet as follows. Start with cost, minus accumulated depreciation, minus accumulated impairment. We get the carrying amount, carrying value, or the book value. Let's focus on depreciation. That's defined in PPE 16. Depreciation is the systematic allocation of the depreciable amount of an asset over its useful life. Okay, so systematic allocation meaning we have different depreciation methods of the depreciable amount of the asset. Later, explain ko kung ano ibig sabihin ng depreciable amount over its useful life. Useful life meaning yan yung kung gaano katagal tayo mag-benefit from the asset. Usually expressed yan in number of years. Okay, now we consider different factors to determine the useful life. Number 1 is the expected usage of the asset. Number 2 is the physical wear and tear. And number 3 is obsolescence. Let's have an illustration. For example, class, meron tayong Lenovo laptop na i9. Ayan, Lenovo laptop i9. Now, expected usage. For example, ginagamit natin yung laptop na 2 hours per day. I-compare mo yan sa 8 hours per day. Obviously, kapag 2 hours per day, magiging longer yung useful life. Tama? Physical wear and tear. For example, yung laptop ginagamit lang natin indoor. Work from home tayo. Okay, compare mo yan sa lagi natin ginagamit yung laptop outdoor. Obviously, kapag indoor lagi, longer yung useful life. Obsolescence. Let's say si Lenovo biglang nag-release ng i11 or i13 and naging obsolete si i9. So yun yung ibig sabihin class ng obsolescence. Okay? Now, again, these are the factors that we consider to determine the useful life of an asset. Now, depreciation is also compliant with the matching principle in accounting. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng matching principle? Yung revenues, ima-match natin yung expenses. Alright? Now, we know class that PPE is used in the operation. So basically, ginagamit natin yung PPE to generate revenues. Okay? Now, ano yung related expense nung revenues na generate ng PPE natin? It's a depreciation expense. Okay? Kaya siya compliant with the matching principle. So yung revenues na generate ng PPE, ima-match natin dyan yung depreciation expense. Alright? Now, we have different depreciation methods. Mag-focus tayo class on 5 major depreciation methods. Ang diskarte natin, per method, i-discuss natin, and then diretso application sa handouts. Okay? Let's start with straight line method. This is the most common. Straight line method, from the word itself, the depreciation is constant or uniform per year. So, same amount yung depreciation natin per year. So, para ma-visualize yan, kaya siya tinawag na straight line, ganito yung graph niyan. So, over the useful life of the asset, constant yung depreciation natin. Same amount per year. Okay? Now, nilagay ko dito kasi yung formula and yung base. Doon muna tayo sa formula. Formula for the straight line method, you have cost minus the residual value over the useful life. Okay? So, kaya tayo sa cost. Natutunan natin sa part 1 yan. When you say residual value, basically, class, ito yung fair value of the asset at the end of its useful life. Okay, tayo dito, end of useful life. Okay, and then over useful life. Yung cost minus residual value, ang ibang term dyan class is the depreciable amount. So yun yung kanina. Pag sinabing depreciable amount, cost minus residual value. By the way, ang ibang tawag sa residual value is salvage value. Okay, tayo ko nandito, salvage value. So magkamukha lang yun. Residual value, salvage value, magkamukha lang ibig sabihin. Okay? Now, i-separate natin yung base. Ang ibig sabihin ng base, yun yung numerator sa formula. So tayo ko dito class, depreciable amount. Okay? So, apply muna natin class yung straight line method. Let's go to our illustrative example number 13. 1-3. Illustrative example number 13. Straight line method yan. So, let's see. Okay, on January 1, 2025, Pinnacle Company acquired equipment with an estimated useful life of 4 years and a residual value of 20,000. Okay, for a total purchase cost of 100,000. Pinnacle uses the straight line method depreciation. Compute for the annual depreciation and provide the journal entries. Okay, so, apply lang natin yung formula. Cost minus residual value over its useful life. So, gawin ko lang dyan class. Yung cost natin is 100,000. Minus the residual value of 20,000 over useful life of 4 years. So how much yan? 100,000 minus 20,000 divided by 4, that is 20,000 per year. Okay? 20,000 per year, yun yung depreciation expense natin. Okay? Journal entry, debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation, 20,000. Depreciation expense, obviously, pupunta na income statement yan. Accumulated depreciation, yan yung contra PPE account in the balance sheet. Okay? So, plus, pakita na rin natin yung per year. Okay? So, 2020, 5, 26, 27, and 28. Okay, lagay natin dito class, depreciation expense. Lagay natin dito yung accumulated depreciation and the carrying amount of the asset. Again, pag depreciation expense, under the straight line method, 20,000 per year yan. And accumulated depreciation, basically, yun yung cumulative na depreciation expense. So sa first year, 20,000. You have 40,000, 60, and 80,000. Pag sinabi mong carrying amount, cost minus accumulated depreciation. How much yung cost natin? 100. 100 minus 20, this is 80,000. 100 minus 40, this is 60. 100 minus 60, 40,000. And 100 minus 80, this is 20,000. So take note class, at the end of the useful life, okay, which is yung 2028, the carrying amount of the asset under the straight line method is equal to the residual value. Always yan. Okay, at the end of the useful life, straight line method natin, okay, yung carrying amount is equal to the residual value. Again, ibang tawag sa residual value, salvage value. Okay, so ito siya. Sige, so that's for straight line method. Very straightforward, madali lang yan. Let's go to the second method. We call this the sum of the year's digits or SYD. So later, explain ko kung bakit iyan yung tawag dyan. Sum of the year's digits. Now, in SYD, ang important dito class is to compute for the SYD denominator. Iyan yung first thing na gagawin mo kapag SYD yung method. Okay? SYD denominator. May formula dyan class. Ito yung formula dyan. Useful life times useful life plus 1 over 2. So you have to remember the formula. Useful life times useful life plus 1 over 2. Okay? Now, yung base natin, again, yan yung numerator, or dyan natin i-multiply, yung SYD denominator natin is also depreciable amount. Okay? Depreciable amount. Ayan. Sige. Let's apply that. Let's go to illustrative example number 14. 1-4. Illustrative example number 14. Tingnan natin class. On January 1, 2025, CPA company acquired equipment with an estimated life of 4 years and a residual value of 20,000, purchase cost of 100,000. CPA uses the SYD method of depreciation, compute for the depreciation expense and accumulated depreciation and carrying amount. So again, kapag SYD, ang una mong gagawin class, compute mo muna yung SYD denominator. So pakita ko sa inyo, medyo procedural yan. So useful life times useful life plus 1 over 2. Tama? So ilang years yung useful life dito? 4. 4 times 4 plus 1 over 2. Sige nga, compute natin. So this is 4 plus 1, 5 divided by 2 times 4. Na-compute mo ba class yung 10? Ang tawag natin dyan, SYD denominator. Alright? Now, ganito gagawin ko dyan class. 2025, 26, 27, and 28. Lagay ko yung depreciation expense dito, accumulated depreciation, and the carrying amount. Now, sabi ko kanina, the base kapag SYD is still depreciable amount. Ano ulit yung depreciable amount? Cost minus the residual value. So how much yung cost dito class? 100,000. How much yung residual value? 20,000. So yung depreciable amount natin is 80,000. Okay? So ganito gagawin natin dyan class kapag SYD method. Okay? So una is 4 years yung useful life. Tama? So ang gagawin natin dito class, to compute for the depreciation expense, yung first year, multiply natin by 4 over 10. Second year, 3 over 10. 2 over 10 and 1 over 10. So ganyan siya. Okay? Kaya denominator, kasi yun yung denominator natin. Sa numerator mo, kung ilang yung years, yung useful life, 4 years muna, then 3, 2, and 1. Okay? Multiply natin ang class. 80,000 times 4 over 10. You have 32,000 depreciation expense natin for 2025. 80,000 times 3 over 10. You have 24,000. Okay? So 80,000 times 2 over 10, you have 16,000. And then 80,000 times 1 over 10, you have 8,000. Okay? So yun yung depreciation expense natin per year. So sa 2025, journal entry natin, debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation, 32,000. How much yung accumulated depreciation? 32,000 year 2025. 32 plus 24, ilan yan? 32 plus 24, that is 56,000. Plus 16,000, that is 72. 72 plus 8, that's 80,000. Let's compute the carrying amount, cost minus accumulated depreciation. How much yung cost natin? 100,000. 100,000 minus 32,000, 68,000. 100,000 minus 56,000, that's 44,000. 100,000 minus 72,000, that's 28,000. And 100,000 minus 80,000, that is 20,000. Okay, so if you notice, again, at the end of, if it's useful life, the carrying amount is equal to the residual value. Okay? Now, gusto ko ma-notice mo dyan, class, na yung depreciation expense natin is decreasing. Napansin mo ba? 32, naging 24, naging 16, naging 8. Kasi nga, yung multiplier natin, bumababa siya. Okay? Kaya, class, ang tawag natin sa SYD. Okay? This is an example of accelerated or decreasing depreciation methods. Okay, kung mapansin mo, pababa siya. So pag graph mo yung SYD, parang ganito siya class. Kung sa straight line method, pag ganun siya, sa SYD naman pag ganyan. Okay? Sa early years, mas mataas yung depreciation natin. So siguro ang assumption dyan, well, yung PPE, mas ginagamit natin yan sa early years. Mas mataas yung revenues na nako-contribute ng PPE sa early years, kaya mas mataas yung depreciation expense niya. Gets? Okay, now, last one. Kaya siya tinawag na sum of the years. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng sum? Di ba ina-add natin? Of the years. Ganito rin yung isang way para ma-compute yung 10 na yan. Isa-sum natin yung years. So, ano ibig sabihin sir? Di ba 4 years yung useful life natin? Tama? 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, ilan yan? 7, 9, and 10. So, pwedeng ganun. Pwede mo gamitin yung formula. Okay, or isum mo na lang yung number of years. Pababa, syempre, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, i-add mo siya lahat. Kaya tinawag siya na sum of the years digits. Okay? Ako, ito ginagamit ko. Kasi nakakalimutan ko yung formula. So, ito lang gamitin mo. Pwede rin yan. Sige. Or kung maalala mo yung formula, walang problema. Very important din class kung ano yung base, ha? Okay? Yan yung minumultiply natin. Okay, we're done with sum of the years digits. Hindi. Punta tayo dun sa main problem number 5. Okay, apply sum of the years digits pa rin yan. Main problem number 5, apply natin class yung concept. Okay, multiple choice. So, main problem number 5. Turuan ko kayo ng shortcut. Okay. Nakita niyo ba yung on January 1, 2020? Lewis Company purchased a new machine for 4 million. Yung 4 million, yun yung cost. The new machine has an estimated life of 8 years, okay? And the salvage value was estimated to be 400,000. Or residual value, salvage value, magkamukha lang yan. Depreciation was computed on the sum of the year's digits. What amount should be reported in the balance sheet, okay, as net of accumulated depreciation for this machine? Ibig sabihin, how much daw yung carrying amount? Okay, ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. First is kailangan muna natin malaman yung denominator or yung SYD denominator. So, may two ways. Again, apply natin yung formula. Useful life times useful life plus 1 over 2. Ilan yung useful life dito, class? 8 years, tama? 8 over times 8 plus 1 over 2. Sige, multiply natin. 8 plus 1 or compute natin. 8 plus 1 divided by 2 times 8. Na-compute ba class yung 36? Okay, yan yung denominator natin. Or, ang isang way, again, i-plus lang natin yan. 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, dapat makuha mo din dyan is 36. Okay, so yan, compute nga, i-double check natin. 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, 36. So after yan, well, kailangan natin ng depreciable amount. So how much yung depreciable amount natin, class? Tama ba? Depreciable amount is just yung cost natin na 4 million minus 400,000, that is 3.6 million. Ito yung depreciable amount natin. Yan yung multiply natin dun sa mga fractions. Okay? Now, take note, class, ang binili natin yung equipment o yung machine January 1, 2020. Ang tinatanong sa atin is December 31, 2021, okay, na carrying amount. Tama ba? After 2 years yon? Tama? Ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. Carrying amount, di ba? So, cost muna tayo, which is 4 million minus accumulated depreciation. Ito yung carrying amount natin. So, kailangan natin ma-compute yung accumulated depreciation. Paano ulit tayo nagko-compute? Pag sum of the years, na-compute na natin yung denominator. So, sa first year, 8 over 36. Sa second year, 7 over 36. Tama ba? Now, yun yung depreciation expense. So, ganito yung shortcut dyan. Ang gagawin ko lang para ma-compute yung accumulated depreciation, 8, yun yung first year, tama? Yun yung for 2020, plus 7, yun yung for 2021, i-divide ko yan by 36. Multiply natin by the depreciable amount na 3.6 million. Sige nga, 8 plus 7, okay, divide by 36 times 3.6 million. Nakuha ko dito, class is 1.5 million. Tama, yes, 1.5 million. So, 4 million minus 1.5 million, carrying amount natin is 2.5 million. Letter B. Easy. Okay na. So, ginawa ko dito, class, shortcut lang. So, ito yung for 2020 na depreciation, ito yung for 2021. Edi, inad ko sila para makuha ko yung accumulated depreciation. Over 36, yung denominator natin, multiply ko sa depreciable amount, which is cost minus residual value. Okay? Kuha ko dito, class, cost. Take note, ang tanong is carrying amount. So, cost minus accumulated depreciation, carrying amount mo, 2.5 million. Okay. Let's now move on to the third method. Third method natin, class, tawag dito is declining balance method. And under declining balance method, pwede pa natin i-divide yan into 2. Okay? Meron tayong tinatawag, class, na double declining, okay, balance method, okay? And meron pang isa, ang tawag natin is 150%, okay, declining balance method. Yan yung usual, no? So again, under declining balance, may dalawa yan. Pwedeng double declining and pwedeng 150% declining balance. Madali lang yan, class. Ganito lang yan. Pag sinabi mong double declining, ano yung formula niyan? Di ba? Pag sabi double, 2 yung ibig sabihin nun. Okay, ganito lang yan. 2 over useful life. Okay? 2 over useful life, multiply mo siya sa carrying amount. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, class, kapag declining balance, yung base natin, hindi depreciable amount. Ang base natin is the carrying amount. Ano ulit yung carrying amount? Cost minus accumulated depreciation. Let's go to 150% declining balance. 150%, edi gawin mo 1.5. Okay? Kung double is 2, 150% is 1.5. 1.5 over useful life times carrying amount. Okay? So, again, pag declining balance method, yung base natin is the carrying amount. Ingat kayo dito, double underline ka na, maraming nagkakamali dyan. Tandaan mo, class, sa lahat ng depreciation methods, lahat, depreciable amount yung base natin. Except declining balance. Pag declining balance, carrying amount yan. Okay? Kaya, class, tinawag na declining balance yan, para siyang SYD, wherein decreasing yan. So, pag graph mo yung double declining, parang ganito din yan. Decreasing yung depreciation natin. Okay? So, let's apply that to our illustrative example number 15 or 1.5. Okay? Go to illustrative example 15. This is for declining balance method. Okay, so again, ulitin ko. Pag declining balance, important sa atin yung carrying amount. Okay, sige. On January 1, 2025, Mr. Accounting Company purchased equipment with an estimated life of 5 years with a residual value of 20,000 for a total purchase cost of 100,000. Compute for the annual depreciation expense, accumulated depreciation, and so on. Now, start tayo with number 1. Sabi dyan, class, so ito sa example number 15. So yung number 1 natin, double declining balance or DDB. Okay? So ulit, paano gagawin natin for double declining balance? 2, kasi double. So 2 yung numerator mo, over useful life. O ganoon lang siya. 2 over useful life, ano yung useful life dito? 5 years. Ilan yung class? 2 over 5 is 40%. Tama ba? So that's 40%. Ito yung rate na gagamitin natin. Okay? So, yung mamaya naman, yung 150% declining, 1.5 over 5. Ilan yan? So 1.5 over 5, that is 30%. So later na natin sasagutin. Dito muna tayo sa double declining balance. Ano ulit yung base natin? Carrying amount. Ano class yung carrying amount sa first year? Yung 100,000, yung cost. Yung residual value, i-ignore mo yan. kapag double declining or kapag declining balance. So, ganito gagawin ko yung class. Lagyan natin dito 2025, 26, 27, 28, and 29 kasi 5 years daw. Depreciation expense, okay, accumulated depreciation, and then you have the carrying amount. Okay, at the start, kung binili natin yung ano ba to? Equipment? Yes, equipment. Yung cost niyan is 100,000. So, yun yung beginning na carrying amount mo. Okay, 100,000 times 40%. Tama ba class? 40,000 yan. So, depreciation expense is 40,000. Accumulated depreciation, 40. 100 minus 40, carrying amount natin. End of year 1 is 60,000. Now, carrying amount daw times yung rate natin. Okay, so ang multiply mo, hindi yung depreciable amount. Okay, carrying amount to get yung depreciation expense sa year 2. 60,000 times 40%, that is 24,000. 24,000 plus 40, that's 64,000. 100,000 minus 64, 36,000. Napansin nyo class, in-ignore ko yung residual value. May residual value sa given. Nakita mo yung 20,000, in-ignore ko siya. Kasi hindi naman depreciable amount yung base natin, carrying amount. Ingat ka doon ha. Okay. Let's go to year 2027, 36,000, carrying amount times 0.4, you get 14,400. Plus 64,000, okay, 78,4. 100,000 minus 78,4, carrying amount natin, 21,600. Okay, let's go to year 2028, 2 years na lang. 21,6 times 0.4, you have 8,640, okay? And then, 8,640 plus 78,4, you have 87,040, okay? 87,040 minus 100,000, 12,960. Okay, now, ingat ka dyan. May problema dito. Bakit, sir? Tingnan mo yung carrying amount mo sa year 4, 12,960. Yung residual value natin, class, tama ba sa problem is 20,000? Merong rule sa accounting. Always remember this. The residual value, or may rule sa accounting. The carrying amount must never, okay, be below the residual value. Hindi ka pwede bumaba dyan. Tandaan mo, hindi ka pwede bumaba sa residual value yung carrying amount mo. Kahit anong depreciation methods yan, lagi mo i-apply yan, okay? So, ibig sabihin class, yung minimum carrying amount natin is the residual value. So, mali na, ganito. Pag ganyan class, ang gagawin mo dyan, balancing figure na lang siya. Okay, so mali yung depreciation expense natin. Gagawin ko dyan, gagawin kong 20,000 yung carrying amount ko noong year 4 kasi yun yung minimum, tama? And then, therefore, yung accumulated depreciation natin, dapat 80,000 yan. Kasi 100,000 minus 80, you have 20,000. Tama? So, therefore, class, ang depreciation expense natin from 21,6, from 78,4, magiging 80,000, ito yan, 80,000 minus 78,4, dapat ang 78,4 minus 80,000, okay? So, depreciation expense mo dapat is only 1,600. Nag-gets ba yun? Kumbaga, parang balancing figure natin yan para yung residual value natin maging equal to the carrying amount at the end of year 4. Okay? So, it means, sa year 2029, wala kang depreciation expense. Accumulated depreciation is still 80,000. Carrying amount is 20,000. So, pag tinanong ka, how much the depreciation expense in 2028? Sagot mo dyan, 1,600. Alright? How much daw yung carrying amount in 2028? Sagot mo dyan, 20,000. Leading ko class. The carrying amount must never be below the residual value. So, ganito gagawin mo kapag declining balance. Initially, i-ignore mo yung residual value. Diba? Sa pag-compute natin kanina, carrying amount times yung 40%, initially, i-ignore mo siya. Pero pag malapit na yung matapos yung life of the asset, dun mo na i-consider yung residual value. I-check mo if below na ba siya ng residual value. Pag below na, i-cap mo na, limit mo na dun sa 20,000. Okay? Na-limit na sa 20,000, therefore, accumulated depreciation mo is 80 kasi 100 minus 80 is 20. From there, 78,4 naging 80, ibig sabihin, depreciation expense mo for year 2028 is 1,600. Gets? Okay, isa pa. Dun tayo sa 150%. Erase natin to class. Carrying amount natin at start, again, is still 100,000. So, depreciation expense, same gawin natin para ma-practice tayo. Accumulated depreciation and the carrying amount. 2025, 26, 27, 28, and 29. 30% yung na-compute natin na rate earlier. So, 100,000 times 30%, depreciation expense natin 30. Accumulated depreciation 30. Okay, 100 minus 30, carrying amount, year 1, 70,000. 70,000 times 30%, that's 21,000. 21 plus 30, 51,000. And then 100 minus 51, that's 49,000. Initially, ini-ignore ko muna yung residual value. Okay? 49,000 times 30%, that is 14,700. 14,700 plus 51,000, accumulated depreciation natin, 65,700. 100,000 minus 65,700, you have 34,300. And then 34,300 times 30%. Okay? That is 10,290. 10,290 plus 65,700, that is 75,990. Okay? So, 100,000 minus 75,990, you have 24,010. So, wala pa tayong problema. Tama? Kasi 20,000 yung residual value, carrying amount natin mas mataas pa sa residual value. Walang problema dyan. But take note, last year na sa 2029. So, ibig sabihin, 20,000 to. Tama lang? Kasi yan yung limit natin, yung residual value. Tama? So, 20,000, therefore, dapat 80,000 to. Okay? 75,990 minus 80,000, dapat depreciation expense natin is only 4,010 para maging 20,000 yung carrying amount natin at the end of its useful life. Pag tinanong sa'yo, how much the depreciation expense in 2029? Ito yung sagot mo. 4010. Okay, last one. Ang shortcut naman, class, para malaman mo yung carrying amount. Okay, so let's say, ang tanong sa'yo sa problem is carrying amount in 2027. Ito. Ano yung shortcut para makompute mo yan? Kaysa gumawa ka pa ng table. Ganito yung class. Shortcut, ha? So 2027 carrying amount, ito ang gagawin ko dyan. Start ka with cost, 100,000. Tama ba, class, kung ang depreciation mo is 40%? Ibig sabihin, yung carrying amount mo is 60%. Tama lang yan? So, pag minultiply ko ito by 60%, makukuha ko na yung carrying amount 2025. Pag minultiply ko again by 60%, yan yung 2026. Pag multiply ko by another 60%, yan yung 2027. Sige nga, try natin. 100,000 times 0.6 times 0.6 times 0.6, you get 21,600, which is this one. So yun yung shortcut natin. Okay? Ito yung 2025, 2026, 2027. Kasi if your depreciation expense is 40%, ibig sabihin 60%, yun yung carrying amount mo. Okay? Let's do the same thing for 150% declining balance. Let's say, class, ang kinocompute natin is carrying amount in 2028. So paano gagawin ko dyan? Carrying amount in 2028 is just 100,000 times kung 30% depreciation, 70% carrying amount. 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. Let's compute. 100,000 times 0.7 times 0.7 times 0.7 times 0.7, you get ulit. 100,000 times 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, and 0.7, 24,010, which is this one. Okay, so yun yung shortcut doon. Okay, that's illustrative example number 15. Let's go to main problem number 6. Okay, apply natin yung shortcut. Main problem number 6. So make sure na-copy nyo, class, yung solution on the board. Okay, so go to main problem number 6. Still declining balance method. Tingnan natin, class. Okay. Main problem number 6. Carissa Company purchased factory equipment which was installed and put on service on January 3 at a total cost of 1,280. Salvage value was estimated at 80,000. The equipment is being depreciated over 8 years by the double declining balance method. For year 2021, how much depreciation expense should it record? Kailan binili, class? 2020. Tama ba? Ang gagawin ko lang dyan, shortcut. Okay. So ang gagawin ko dyan, 1,280,000. Ito yung cost natin, tama? O yung carrying amount natin, 1,280,000. Yung binili natin. Tama ba, class? 2 years yan. So ang tanong sa atin is yung depreciation expense ng year 2. Okay? Ngayon, yung rate natin dito, pag double declining, 2 over, ano yung useful life? 8. Tama? 2 over 8 is 25%. So 25% yung rate natin, ibig sabihin 75% yung carrying amount. Tama ba, class, pag minultiply ko to by 75%, makukuha ko dyan yung carrying amount as of December 31, 2020. Tama ba? Ang tanong sa atin is depreciation expense 2021. Edi, since may carrying amount na ako ng 2020, multiply ko lang yan by 25%. O, yun yung shortcut natin. 1,280,000 times 0.75, 960,000 to. Yan yung carrying amount mo noong December 31, 2020. Multiply mo by 25% para makuha mo depreciation expense next year. 240,000, letter B, or boy. Okay, so ganyan na siya. Yan yung shortcut natin. Okay, sige. Now, what else? Let's move on to our next depreciation method. Hindi masyadong ginagamit to, pero discuss pa rin natin. We call this the units of production method. For units of production method, depreciation is based on usage. Kung gaano karami tayong units na napoproduce or nakoconsume, okay? Based on usage. Unlike yung first 3 methods natin, based on time, okay, yung depreciation expense natin, pag units of production, it's based on usage. Dalawa yung, class. Pwedeng ang basis mo is the output or the input. Okay? Yung formula natin, well, explain ko na later sa handouts natin, pero yung base mo dito, class, is still the depreciable amount. Okay, so let's go to illustrative example number 16. 1-6. Illustrative example number 16. Tingnan natin, class, kung paano yung output method. Okay, illustrative example number 16. Alright, so let's see. On January 1, 2025, BSA Company acquired the factory equipment, estimated residual value of 20,000, purchase cost of 100,000. Compute na agad natin yung depreciable amount. Kasi sabi ko dito kanina, yung base mo is depreciable amount. Tama ba, class? Depreciable amount natin, it's cost na 100,000 minus the residual value of 20, which is 80,000. Okay, dyan natin multiply later. The equipment has an expected total output of 160,000 units and an expected total input of 40,000 hours. Information on actual operations is presented below. So, meron tayo dyan na years 2025 to 2028. Meron tayo units produced, yun yung output natin. And manufacturing hours, yun yung inputs natin. Requirement, compute for the depreciation using output method. So, output and input. Okay, dahil lang yung, class. So, gagawin na natin, yung depreciable amount natin, 80,000, i-divide natin yan by the total output. How much yung total output? Nakita mo yung 160,000? Yes, 160,000. Okay, yan yung rate na gagamitin natin. 80,000 divided by 160,000, so 0.5 per unit. Okay, now for the input naman, 80,000 over, nakita mo, class, yung total manufacturing hours na 40,000, 2 per hour naman yung magiging rate natin. Okay, so let's compute for 2025. 26, 27, and 28. Okay, as usual, meron tayong depreciation expense, accumulated depreciation, and carrying amount. So, compute natin class. Output method muna tayo. Once ma-compute mo na yan, okay na yan. So, 0.5, tama ba class yung units produced in 2025 is 60,000? 60,000 times 0.5, that is 30,000. Okay, 30,000 accumulated depreciation. Cost natin is 100 minus 30, 70,000 yung carrying amount. Okay, sa year 2026, 30,000 yung na-produce natin. 30,000 times 0.5, 15,000 plus 30, 45,000. 100 minus 45, 55,000. Just go to 2027. 0.5 times 45,000. Ilan yun? 45,000 times 0.5, that is 22,500. 22,500 plus 45,000, 67,500. Tama ba yan? 45,000 plus 22,500, 67,500. 100,000 minus 67,500. Carrying amount natin class, 32,500. And then last year natin, 2028, ilan yung na-produce natin? 25,000 times 0.5, that is 12,500. 12,500 plus 67,500, this is 80,000. 100,000 minus 80, that is 20,000. At the end of its life, kung makikita mo, yung carrying amount natin is equal to residual value. So wala tayong problema dyan. Let's go to the input method. Ganun din yung class. Depreciation expense, mabilis lang, 25, 26, 27, and 28. Depreciation expense natin, accumulated depreciation, and carrying amount. Okay, so 2 per hour. Ilang hours yung 2025? 16,000. 16,000 times 2, 32,000. 2026, 8,000 times 2, 16,000. Tama? 16,000. And then, 2027, 12,000 times 2, 24,000. 2028, 4,000 times 2, 8,000. Okay? So 32,000 accumulated depreciation. 32 plus 16 is 48. 48 plus 24, it's 72. 72 plus 8, it's 80,000. Carrying amount at the start, 100,000 minus 32,000, 68. 100,000 minus 48, that's 52,000. 100,000 minus 72, that's 28,000. And 100,000 minus 80, that's 20,000. At the end of its life, the carrying amount is equal to residual value. So ito lang mahalaga dyan. Depreciable amount, kasi yun yung base natin over total output. Depreciable amount over total input. After that, multiply ka na ng multiply. Okay? We call this units of production method. Let's go to number. Ano naman tayo? Ito muna pala. Tapusin muna natin class yung depreciation methods natin. Others. Sinama-sama ko na dito kasi for theory purposes ng to class. Okay? Usually, hindi yan tinatanong sa problem solving, pero discuss ko pa rin. When you say composite method, okay, ganito yung class. Pag composite method, i-group natin yung assets. Mga keywords na lang ha. I-group natin yung assets and then saka natin i-depreciate. Okay, ang tawag natin ng class is composite method. Next, retirement method. Ang ibig sabihin ng retirement method, no depreciation until the asset is retired. Okay? Kaya siya retirement method. Hindi ka magdi-depreciate until ma-retire mo yung asset. Okay? Tandaan mo class, yung retirement, replacement, and inventory method, ginagamit yan for practicality purposes. Okay? Kapag yung mga PPE natin, large number of similar items. Okay? Ang pinakamagandang example dito, yung mga construction tools. For example, mga screwdrivers, yung mga shovel, okay, mga saw, mga ganyan, construction tools. Well, impractical naman para i-depreciate pa natin yun every year. Okay? Gagamitin mo na lang doon yung retirement, replacement, or inventory. So, no depreciation until the asset is retired. For example, yung screwdriver o yung hammer, hindi na natin magagamit. O yun, doon pa na siya i-depreciate. Yung cost nun, yun yung depreciation niya. Gets? Okay. Pag sinabing replacement, no depreciation until the asset is retired and replaced. Okay? For example, yung screwdriver natin, na-retire na, and pag ni-replace natin ng bagong screwdriver, doon pala natin siya i-depreciate. Okay? Pag sinabi namang inventory, tandaan mo lang, meron kang physical count at the end of the year. For example, yung physical count, ika-count natin lahat ng screwdrivers. Okay? Para kumbaga, para siyang computation ng cost of goods sold. Beginning inventory minus compare sa ending inventory, yun yung depreciation expense. Parang ganun siya. Okay? So, FYI na lang yung class. Hindi yan tinatanong sa problem solving and actually, baka di rin tanong sa theory yan, pero explain ko na rin. So again, composite method, i-group natin yung assets and then depreciate. Retirement, kapag ni-retire, doon mo na i-depreciate. Replacement, pag ni-retire and ni-replace. Kapag inventory, physical count. Para siyang computation ng cost of goods sold. Again, ginagamit natin yan for practicality purposes. Ang isipin mo na lang pag mga construction tools yung mga di-depreciate natin. Alright, let's move on to illustrative example number 17. Illustrative example number 17. If you can see, nakalagay yung class, leasehold improvements. Ano nga ba yung leasehold improvements? Nagrenta tayo ng property and naglagay tayo ng mga structures or ng mga improvements. So usually class yan, ang agreement dyan between ang pangalan kasi yung nagre-rent si lessee, nagpaparenta sa'yo si lessor. Okay? Ang agreement dyan, usually, pagkatapos na yung lease term, lahat ng improvements na yan, mapupunta na kay lessor yan, yung may-ari talaga ng property. Ganun yung usually yung mga agreement dyan. Okay? So given that, tingnan natin kung paano tayo mag-depreciate ng leasehold improvements. On January 1, 2025, ABC Company signed a 10-year lease for office space. ABC has the option to renew the lease for an additional 5 years on or before January 1, 2034. So 10 years yung initial, pwedeng i-renew na another 5 years, so making 15 years. Okay? During the first half of January 2026, ABC incurred the following costs. 900,000 for general improvements to the leased premises with an estimated life of 10 years. Okay, yun yung leasehold improvements. Ang mangyayari dyan, class, after 10 years, yung nililease natin na office space, ibabalik mo na yun sa may-ari talaga, sa lessor. Okay? That's why, ang maximum natin na pag-depreciate is the lease term. Ganun siya. So, nangyari dito, class, tama ba? Sa illustrative example number 17, January 1, 2025 yung nag-sign, pero nag-construct first half of 2026 or January 1, 2026. Dito yung construction, ng leasehold improvement. So after 1 year, nakalipas na yung 1 year. Dito kasi 10 years yung lease term. So after 1 year, therefore, 9 years na lang yung remaining lease term natin. Tama lang? Okay. So yeah, so bullet number 2, 100,000 for office furniture and equipment with an estimated life of 10 years. And bullet number 3, 200,000 for movable assembly line equipment with estimated life of 5 years. Tandaan mo, class, sa bullets 2 and 3, movable yan. Okay? Ibig sabihin, natatanggal natin yan. After ng lease term, pwede nating dalhin sa iba at gamitin pa natin yan. Unlike yung bullet 1 na leasehold improvements, hindi natin madadala yon after. Kumbaga, yung leasehold improvements, immovables yan, permanent. Yung 2 and 3, movables yan. Therefore, yung bullets 2 and 3, separately, i-depreciate natin yan. Gets mo yan? Okay, so gagawin ko, class. At the time of the leasehold improvements were finished, ABC is uncertain as to the exercise of the renewal. Okay, compute for the depreciation expense, yun yung requirement number 1. Ganito gagawin ko dyan kasi ihiwa-hiwalay ko yan. Doon muna tayo sa leasehold improvements. For the leasehold improvements, ang rule is, tingnan mo yung useful life niya and lease term. Okay, ano yung useful life? Tama ba, class? Yung useful life, tingin ka dun sa first bullet, 10 years. Tama? And then, yung lease term natin, yung remaining lease term. Tama ba ito yan? 9 years? Kasi nag-sign ka January 1, 2025, nag-construct ka after 1 year. 9 years na lang yung natitira sa'yo. Whichever is shorter. Whichever is shorter. Obviously, after year 9, wala na. Alis ka na dun sa office. Kaya whichever is shorter yan. So, pipiliin mo is 9. Okay? So, how much yung depreciable amount natin? 900,000 divided by 9, you get 100,000. Ito yung depreciation expense natin for the leasehold improvements. Okay? Next natin, bullet number 2, office furniture and equipment. Nakalagay dyan, class, 10 years. Kapag silent yung problem, straight line method yung gagamitin. So, 100,000. Okay? Divide by useful life na 10 years. Therefore, 10,000 depreciation natin for the office equipment. Okay? Next is for the line equipment, LE na lang, 200,000 over 5 years, you get 40,000. Alright? So, compute natin, class, yung total depreciation, 100,000 plus 10, that's 110, plus 40, 150,000. Okay? Yun yung sagot natin. Total depreciation expense is 150. Key points to remember, number 1, pag leasehold improvements, useful life, or lease term, whichever is shorter. Okay? 9 years. Hiniwalay natin yung office equipment and yung line equipment because movable sila. Kahit matapos na yung lease term, pwede pa rin natin gamitin yan sa iba. And also, ayan, so 10 years, 5 years, separately, di-depreciate natin yan. Okay? Let's go to number 2. Compute for the depreciation expense, assuming that ABC is certain that it will exercise the renewal option. Tingin ka dun, class, sa second sentence, ABC has the option to renew for additional 5 years. So kapag certain yan, ang gagawin ko lang dyan, for the leasehold improvements, useful life, obviously, di ba magbabago yan, laging 10 yan. Lease term, okay, may 9 years tayo, tapos kapag i-exercise natin yung option, additional 5 years. Therefore, 14 years yung remaining lease term natin. Ang rule is, whichever is shorter. Ano shorter? 10. Let's compute the depreciation expense. 900,000, yun yung cost, or yes, the depreciable amount, over 10, 90,000 for the leasehold improvements. Kanina 10, kanina 100, ngayon 90,000 na lang. Okay? For the office equipment, still 10,000, walang pagbabago dyan. Line equipment, still 40,000. Okay, 90 plus 10, that's 100 plus 40, depreciation expense natin. For scenario number 2, 140,000. Okay, this is how you do leasehold improvements. Okay, malapit na tayo matapos, class. Next, let's go to illustrative example number 18, 1.8. Okay, illustrative example number 18. Tingnan naman natin, class, whenever merong change in depreciation method. Okay? Actually, ang tawag dyan, kapag nagbabago yung depreciation method, accounting changes. Okay? Meron tayong separate topic actually dito sa FAR, no? Accounting changes. Meron yung change in accounting estimate, change in accounting policy, yung mga ganyan. Next time natin i-discuss yung details yan. But whenever, class, meron change in depreciation method, change in useful life, and change in residual value, tawag natin dyan accounting changes. Okay? We consider this as change in estimate. Kasi mga estimate yan, method, useful life, and residual value. And in accounting, class, kapag may change in estimate, the application is prospective. Okay? Or moving forward yung application natin. Hindi mo iibahin yung mga previous years. Moving forward yan, prospective application. Okay? Let's go to illustrative example number 18. Apply natin yan. On January 1, 2025, ABC Company acquired machinery, total cost of 20 million. The machinery was depreciated using the double declining. Paano nga ba pag double declining? 2 over useful life times carrying amount. Over a period of 10 years. On January 1, 2028, ABC changed the depreciation method to straight line. Tama ba, class? From double declining method, naging straight line. Tama? Ilang years? After 2025 daw yan. 25, 26, 27. After 3 years. Tama? After 3 years, nag-switch to straight line. Ang tawag natin dyan, change in estimate prospective yung application natin. Tandaan mo class, may 2 steps ka lagi ipa-follow dyan. Number 1, tandaan mo to pag may change in estimate. Update the carrying amount of the asset. Yan yung step 1, update the carrying amount. Step 2, apply the new depreciation method or useful life or residual value. Yun lang, ganyan kasimple. Update natin yung carrying amount, apply natin yung new method or yung new useful life or yung new residual value. Okay, ganito gawin ko dyan class. Tama ba? Double declining yan. So, kailangan ko makuha yung rate. 2 over, ano yung useful life? 10. 20% yung rate natin. So, double declining. Tama? After 3 years, nag-switch to straight line. Ibig sabihin, para ma-update yung carrying amount, alamin natin yung carrying amount after 3 years. So, ganito gagawin ko class. Meron tayong cost na 20 million. Okay, update the carrying amount. Multiply ko by, kasi tama 3 years. So, multiply ko by 80%. Kasi 20% yung depreciation, carrying amount is 80. Isa pang 80% and one more 80%. Para makuha ko yung carrying amount after 3 years. Okay? So, 20 million times 0.8 times 0.8 times 0.8, you get 10 to 40,000. Okay, yun yung first step natin. Update the carrying amount natin, 10 to 40. Next, apply natin yung new method. Okay, number 2. Sabi dyan ko, straight line method. Tama? Paano ba yung straight line method? Cost minus residual value over yung useful life. Tama? Now, ang magiging cost mo is yung bagong carrying amount na. Okay? 10 to 40,000. Meron bang residual value sa given? Wala naman sinabi. So, 0 yan. Over, ilan na lang yung useful life natin? Originally, 10 years. Tama? 10 years. Nakalipas na yung 3 years. Edi 7 years na lang. Divided by 7. 10 to 40,000. Divided by 7. Sagot mo dito, class. 1462857. Okay? 1462857. This is your answer. So, compute for the depreciation expense, 1462857. Entry natin, debit depreciation expense, credit accumulated depreciation, 1462857. Paano ginawa mo, sir? In-update ko yung carrying, 2 steps na lagi yan. In-update ko yung carrying amount, ginamit ko yung shortcut natin, and then in-apply ko yung bagong method, which is straight line. Siyempre, kung ilang years na lang yung natitira, 7 years. Okay? And then, take note, pag sinabing prospective, hindi na maapektuhan yung prior na 3 years. Okay? Yung previous years natin, hindi na affected yun. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng prospective. Moving forward na lang yung affected niya. Okay? Sige. Okay, 2 problems to go, and then we're done with PPE. Sige, let's go to main problem number 4. Main problem number 4. Okay? So, apply natin dyan, class, kung paano siya. Okay, main problem number 4. John Corporation provided the following information with respect to its building. Bullet number 1. The building was acquired on January 1, 2016 at a total cost of 7.8 million, estimated life of 40 years, salvage value 200,000, yearly depreciation, straight line method. So 2016 yan, tama? Now, ang tanong sa atin is depreciation for 2021, so after 5 years. Okay, so next bullet, the building was renovated on January 1, 2018. So after ilang years yun? 2016, 2017. After 2 years, nag-renovate at a cost of 760. This was considered as improvement. If you remember, kapag improvement, kinakapitalize natin yan kasi merong probable future economic benefits. Okay? Salvage value did not change. So, ganito gagawin ko yung class. Ang gagawin ko muna, number 1, okay, tama ba class ang original cost natin 7.8 million? Minus residual value na 200,000 over useful life of 40 years. Yung annual depreciation natin, 7.8 million minus 200,000 divided by 40, you have 190,000 per year. Tama? Sige. So, tama ba class nag-renovate after 2 years? So, multiply natin by 2. Yung accumulated depreciation natin after 2 years, 380,000. Ayan. So, sabi ko dyan, update natin yung carrying amount. So, cost natin is originally 7.8 million. Nag-renovate, kalayo dito, renovation. Nakakapitalize natin yun 760,000. Okay? Carrying amount, so minus natin yung accumulated depreciation. Tama? So, accumulated depreciation natin is 380,000. Let's compute for the carrying amount as of January 1, 2018. January 1, 2018. Okay, 7.8 million plus 760. So, lagay ko muna dito yan. 8,560,000 yung bagong cost natin minus yung 380,000. Carrying amount natin class, 8,180,000. Pag tinanong sa'yo how much yung carrying amount, January 1, 2018, sagot mo dyan, 8,180,000. Okay? Next, third bullet. On January 1, 2021, the management decided to change the total life of the building to 30 years. So, change in estimate. Tama ba class? 2018, 18, 19, 20. So, after 3 years. Mag-depreciate tayo for 3 years. So, ito na yung carrying amount natin. And then, straight line method to, tama ba? So, 8,180,000, i-minus natin yung residual value. Tingin ka dun sa first bullet, 200,000 yung residual value. Minus 200,000 over, ang remaining life mo na lang, originally, meron tayong 40 years. Tama? Nag-depreciate na tayo ng 2 years. Therefore, remaining life natin is 38 years. Tama ba? 38. 38. So, 8,180 minus 200,000 divided by 38. Annual depreciation is 210,000. Ilang years tayo mag-depreciate? 2018 hanggang 2020. 18, 19, 20. So, 3 years. Times 3. Okay, depreciation natin for 3 years, 630,000. Ayan. Now, third bullet, nagkaroon daw ng change in useful life. From 40, 30 na lang daw. So, paano gagawin mo dyan, sir? Apply ko lang yan. Update natin yung carrying amount. How much na yung carrying amount natin as of this point? Well, meron tayong cost na 8,560,000. Okay? And then, meron tayong accumulated depreciation. How much? Well, ito kanina 380. Tapos, nag-depreciate tayo ng 630. So, 630 plus 380, 1,010,000. Okay? And then, makukuha natin yung updated carrying amount, 8,560, minus 1,010,000, 7,550,000. Tama? Okay, so double check ko lang class, 7,550, yes. And then, mag-depreciate na tayo. Minus residual value na 200,000. Ang tanong sa atin is depreciation expense. Okay? And sabi sa third bullet class, total life is 30 years. Total life yun. I-divide natin kailangan by remaining life. Kung total life is 30, nakailang years na ba? Well, binili natin yung building, January 2016. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So, 5 years na yung nakalipas. 30 minus 5, so yung denominator mo is the remaining life of 25 years. 7,550,000 minus 200,000 na residual value kasi straight line method, divided by remaining life of 25 years, sagot mo dito class, 294,000, letter dog for number 4. Letter dog yan. Okay, so I think we're down to the last problem, main problem number 7. Pag samasamahin na natin sa main problem number 7, pag makafollow kayo dito, ibig sabihin, expert na kayo sa depreciation. Okay? Sa number 7. Alright, so let's see. Main problem number 7. We have 3 questions. Let's read the given. Chain company started operations January 2, 2019. Acquired 3 assets. Classified under PPE. Lump sum price of 2.4 million. So in purchase price, 2.4 million. Okay, the carrying amount and fair values are provided as follows. Kung maalala nyo class, nasabi ko before, kapag bumili ka ng lump sum or basket price, allocate mo using fair value. Alright? So meron tayong delivery trucks. Lagyan natin dito, delivery trucks. And then, latching machine and office equipment. Ignore mo yung carrying amount. Hindi natin kailangan yan. Okay? Yung fair value yung kailangan natin. 1,680, 420, and then 700,000. Okay, add nga natin yung class. 1,680 plus 420 plus 700,000. That is 2.8 million. Allocate natin yung purchase price to the 3. Yung 2.4 million, allocate natin. Doon muna tayo sa delivery trucks. 2.4 million times 1,680 divided by 2.8 million. That is 1,440,000. Okay. Next, 2.4 million times 420 divided by 2.8, that is 360,000. And then last one, class 2.4 million times 700 divided by 2.8, you have 600,000. Okay, so ito na yung amounts nung allocated natin. Total niyan is 2.4 million. So ito yung important sa atin. Alright, so delivery truck, straight line method daw siya. Lagyan natin, straight line. And then salvage value of 80,000 in 8 years. Latching machine, double declining. And then, office equipment, SYD. Ayun, di ba? So, pagsamasamahin natin dyan. Question number 1, assuming that the delivery trucks were sold on October 12, 2020 for 1.2 million, the amount of gain or loss. Okay, so take note class na binili natin lahat yan January 2, 2019. Okay? And then, ang tanong sa question 1, October 12, 2020. Ayan. So, after basically 1 year and ilang months, 9 months. Okay? So, gagawin ko dyan, si delivery truck. Nasaan yun? Ito yun, 1,440,000. Straight line method daw. I-depreciate natin siya for 2 years. So, 2020 muna tayo. How much yung depreciation yan? Well, complete natin. Delivery truck, 1,440,000. Meron bang residual value yan? Yes, 80,000. Over estimated life of 8 years. So, 1,440,000 minus 80,000 divided by 8. Tama ba class? 170,000 per year in depreciation yan. Sa 2020, 170,000. In 2019 to. 2019, in 2020, take note na October 12. So, sa accounting, lagi siyang nearest month. Okay? Pag October 12, ibig sabihin, binenta siya, considered as September 30. Ganun siya. So, kapag naman, let's say, October 20, sumobra ng 15, o sumobra ng kalahati, considered na as October 31 yun. So, nearest month tayo. So, in this case, sa 2020, 9 months lang yan. January to September. So, gagawin ko dyan, class, 170,000 is for the whole year. Multiply ko by 9 over 12 para makuha ko yung 9 months. 170,000 times 9 over 12, 127,500. Tama ba class? Ito na yung accumulated depreciation natin. 170,000 plus 172,500 or 297,500. Paano ka ba mag-compute ng gain or loss? Proceeds minus your carrying amount. Tama ba? So how much natin binenta? Sabi dyan, binenta natin ng 1.2 million. How much yung carrying amount natin? Well, cost minus accumulated depreciation. 1,440,000 minus accumulated depreciation 297,500, 1,142,500. So, 1.2 million minus 1,142,500, 57,500. So, class yung 57,500 ano yan? Is this gain or loss? Binenta mo for 1.2. Ang binigay mo lang is 1,142. Panalo tayo dyan. So, therefore, we have a gain of 57,500. Letter boy for question number 1. Pwede mo rin i-journal entry yan. Debit cash, para sigurado ka. 1.2 million. Credit, ano ba yan? Delivery trucks, delivery trucks na lang, 1,440,000. Debit accumulated depreciation na 297,500. And then balancing figure mo dyan, class, credit gain on sale, 57,500. Okay? So pwede ka rin mag-journal entry or pwedeng ganito. Na-receive mo 1.2, ang binigay mo lang is 114,255. Panalo ka, mas malaki na-receive mo. So 57,500 gain. Question number 2. The carrying amount of office equipment to be presented in the December 31, 2021 balance sheet is, okay, yung office equipment natin, class, SYD yan. Tama ba? Sabi ko dyan, gamitin mo muna yung, let's compute for the SYD denominator. 6 years daw, so 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Ilan yan? 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, 21 yung denominator natin. Ngayon, isi-shortcut ko to ha. Sabi dyan, carrying amount daw, December 31, 2021. Kailan binili? 2019. 19, 20, 21. So after 3 years. How much daw yung carrying amount after 3 years? Pag carrying amount, tama ba class? Cost minus accumulated depreciation yun. Alright? You get the carrying amount. Meron na tayong cost para sa office equipment. That's 600,000. Ang kailangan na natin is the depreciation for 3 years. Shortcutting ko yan. Okay. 600,000. Meron bang residual value? Meron. Nakalagay dyan class sa middle portion, 15,000. Okay? Kasi pag SYD, depreciable amount. So cost minus residual value. Okay? Now, kailangan ko class makuha yung accumulated depreciation for 3 years. Kasi ang tanong is 2021. Binili natin 2019. Okay. So ito yung first year, second year, and third year. So ganun lang gagawin ko dyan. 6 plus 5 plus 4 over 21. Ayun. Makuha ko dyan. So dito, 600,000 minus 15, this is 585,000. Tama? 600,000 minus 15, that's 585. So 6 plus 5 plus 4 divided by 21, multiply ko by 585,000. Makuha ko dito class 417,857. 417,857. So how much daw yung carrying amount? 417,857. 600,000 minus 417,857. Sagot ko dito class is 182,143. Letter A for question number 2. Okay, sinortcut ko lang kasi kailangan ko malaman accumulated depreciation for 3 years para makuha ko yung carrying amount. So ito yung first year, second year, and third year. Huwag mo kalimutan i-minus yung salvage value or residual value because ang base for SYD is depreciable amount. Last problem. What is the total depreciation expense? Okay, so saan ko ilalagay ito? Total depreciation expense in the 2022 income statement. Dito na lang class. Okay, so gagawin ko dyan. Isa-isayin natin. So, si delivery truck, actually, nabenta na natin yan, tama ba? Binenta natin si delivery truck noong 2020. So, wala na yan. Zero na yan. Zero. Next natin is si office equipment. Okay, tama ba class? 2021 yung sinagutan natin kanina. Yung 4. 2019, 2020, 2021. So, ang tanong sa atin is 2022. So, 3 na yung gagamitin natin. Tama? So, 585,000 times 3 over 21. How much yan? 585,000 times 3 over 21. 83,571. Ito na yung depreciation natin for the office equipment, okay, for year 2022. Tama lang yan? So, last one. Tatlo kasi yan. So, okay tayo sa delivery truck, okay tayo sa office equipment, yung latching machine na lang. Okay, so pag na-compute natin yan, makakompute natin yung total depreciation expense. Okay, so gagawin ko dyan, erase ko na ito class. Tama ba yung latching machine natin, double declining? Okay, ilang years? Double declining siya, tapos based dun sa table, 4 years. Tama ba class kung 2 over 4, yung rate natin is 50% for the double declining? O, ingat ka dyan, kasi binili natin 2019, 2020, 21, and 22. Okay? So, kung mapapansin mo class, pag nag-compute tayo ng depreciation expense for the latching equipment, o latching machine, tama ba? Originally, 360,000 yung carrying amount natin. Ang tanong, how much yung depreciation expense on 2022? Okay? So, carrying amount natin class is 360,000 initially. So, 360,000 times 50%. Tama ba class? 180,000 yung depreciation expense natin noong 2019. Tama? 360 minus 180, 180,000 yung carrying amount natin. 180,000 times 0.5, 50%, 90,000 na yan. Alright? So, carrying amount natin as of this point, 360 minus yung accumulated depreciation, 90,000. Tama? Accumulated depreciation mo is 270. Tama? So, 360 minus 270, 90. 90,000 times 50% is 45,000. Okay? Now, depreciation, carrying amount natin is how much na? 360 minus 180 minus 90 minus 45, 45,000. Ingat ka dito, class, kasi sabi dyan sa problem, meron daw siyang salvage value na 5,000. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, since end na ng life niya is year 2022, 4 years lang yung life, again, yung residual value sa dulo mo siya i-consider. So, dapat 5,000 yung carrying amount mo dyan. Tama ba, class? So, yung 45 magiging 5. Ibig sabihin, 40,000 yung depreciation expense mo in 2022. Okay, lagay natin dito, 40,000. So, 40,000 plus 83,571, you get 123,571. Sagot mo dito, class, total depreciation expense, boy yung sagot natin, 123,571. Actually, kapag hindi mo ginawa yan, Okay, let's say, ang ginawa mo 45,000 times 0.5. Okay, pag 22.5 ang nilagay mo dyan, I think nasa choices din yung sagot. Okay, so ingat ka. Kapag double declining, initially, ini-ignore natin yung residual value. Pero pag malapit na yung matapos yung life of the asset, in this case, year 2022, syempre, yung limit mo is the residual value. So 45, limit is 5, therefore, depreciation expense mo, 2022, balancing figure, 40,000. 40,000, add natin lahat yan. Sagot natin, letter B for boy. Okay, so I think nasagutan na natin lahat, class. Double check ko lang, ha. Nasagutan na natin. Let's finish the theory questions. Theory number 2. Okay, theory number 2. The depreciable amount of an item of PPE is, syempre, letter A yan. Cost less its residual value. Tingnan natin, class, yung ibang choices. Letter B, net amount which the enterprise expects to obtain for an asset at the end of its useful life. Ang tawag natin dyan, residual value. Letter C, amount of cash or cash equivalent paid or the fair value consideration given to acquire an asset. Tawag natin dyan, cost. Letter D, amount at which assets recognized in the balance sheet after deducting accumulated depreciation, accumulated impairment, ang tawag natin dyan, carrying amount. So letter A for number 2. Number 7, land improvements. Punta ka dun, class, sa letter A. Are subject to depreciation. Okay? Di-depreciate natin yan separately. Yung land yung hindi mo di-depreciate. Okay? Tingnan natin ibang choices. B, should be included in the cost of land. Separate classification yan. C, should be deducted from the cost of land. No. Should be charged as expense in the year purchased. No. Di-depreciate natin yan. Okay, for number 7, it's letter A. Number 8, a lessee incurred cost to construct office space in the leased warehouse. The estimated life is 10 years. The remaining lease renewable is 15 years. So ito yung leasehold improvements. Ano yung rule natin? Useful life or lease term, whichever is lower. So punta ka dun sa boy, capitalized as leasehold improvements and depreciated over 10 years. Kasi yung 10 is less than 15. Okay? For number 8, number 8 is boy. Okay, let's go to number 11. Which of the following most accurately reflects the concept of depreciation? Punta ka lang sa letter C, the process of allocating tangible assets in a systematic and rational manner to those periods expected to benefit from the asset. Basically, the definition of depreciation. Letter C, number 11. Okay. Tingnan yung choices. Letter A, charging the decline value of an resource or its impairment. Meron tayong separate discussion for impairment. Okay. And then the element of allocating assets for the expense account, and then the investment as the definition talaga. Accounting concept of portion. Letter C, number 12. Number 12, which is incorrect concerning depreciation. Letter A, the depreciation method should look at patterns in the asset. Economic person, yes. So sa straight line assumption dito, every year, same ako or same generate revenues. Kapag naman sa years declining, pag depreciate na sila, ibig sabihin class, at the early years of the asset, mas maraming benefits natin sa marami. So yun yung ibig sabihin niya. Okay, the depreciation method should be annually. That's correct. Letter C, depreciation charge on income statement. Yes. Unless it is included in the carrying amount of the asset. Ibig sabihin, sir. For example, gumagawa tayo ng calculation, i-inventory natin. Okay, so yung depreciation, okay, na inventory natin para gawa ang calculation yung expense yun. I-charge natin sa inventory. Yung ibig sabihin dyan, okay? Overhead is specific. Unless it is included in the carrying amount of the asset. Yung depreciation, the asset available for use, ayan, and continues to use the asset recognized, tama yun, and became idle. Yun yung mali, became idle. Idle yung asset. Hindi mo siya nagagalit temporarily, mag-depreciate. Number 12. Number 13, which of the following statement is true according to ESC 16. Total cost is when you depreciate it. Bawal mo ba sa just value. Okay. B, the depreciation should be constant. States like sa ibang metrics ba yan? Letter C, an asset should be depreciated the date of purchase. The date of sales, pero ang mas tama dyan, from the date na naging available for use yung asset. Hindi the date of purchase. For example, nag-apply na yung February 1. Pero naging available for use yan, gamit natin Feb 1. And depreciation will start in Feb 1 January 1. Dog yung dito. Carrying amount is less than the residual value depreciation is charged. Kasi again, yung limit natin the residual value and of its useful life. Number 14, a variety of depreciation method used to allocate, which these statements is incorrect. Okay. A, baseline depreciation constant charge. B, the depreciation balance or yung decreasing balance. Yung decreasing charge of the life, yes, graph natin na baba. Letter C, the production charge based on expected output. Yes, the output, the input. The sound of the usage is also increasing charge. Magkapag-sound the usage of decreasing the increasing. Dog number 14. Number 15, the sound of the usage of the depreciation. A, is also residual value being ignored. Kapag sound the usage depreciation, so kung mo ignore yung residual value. B, carrying must be reduced to the residual value. Correct. Actually, yung some depreciation methods, yung carrying amount pwedeng masobra sa residual value. Letter C, denominator, so yung remaining denominator, why denominator? Okay. Letter D, all of this. So yung sagot natin. Number 16. Depreciation is a variable expense if the depreciation bill is 1,000 units of production. Okay, so yung production dapat depende kasi sa units na produce natin. Pag ginamit mo yan, iba-iba. Pag ganun yan, okay, yung depreciation mo. Unlike diretso, yung lining and SY, diba? Pag matapos out, iba-iba. Okay, so kaya variable siya. Number 16, Number 17, depreciation is going to be the original cost without deducting anything salvage value. Pag declining balance original cost, and then carrying low productive output or yung method. Di deduct ang salvage. So balik kasi nakalagay dyan without deducting estimated salvage. No, okay? Because kapag declining balance, carrying yung cost. Pag naman method, depreciation minus salvage. Bye. Let's go to number 18, which is the following is correct. Again, most is classified as revenue and other gains. B as depreciation even if fair value exceeds the carrying amount. Okay. And then actually, boy. So your fair value, ang mali kasi kapag residual value mas mataas yung carrying amount. Pero fair value sa carrying problem. Hindi naman yung fair value depreciation. So point correct. Since illegal lang accounted for separately in the is separate natin yung land, non-depreciable. Dog, and non-current asset is not recognized. Boy, sagot natin. Pag-exchange rate revaluation pa rin siya. Let's go to number 29. Last two. Change related useful liability. Change yan. Boy, yan. Affects depreciation beginning in the year of change. Tawag as prospective depreciation. Boy, number 29. Okay. Letter C must be considered as retroactive. Retroactive kasi na-affected yung prior years and then prospective yan. Dog rates is regular statement. Mali yan. Boy yan. And last one, company, number 30. Acquired equipment, January 717. Company uses the statement method. Useful life in years. No residual value. On January 1, 2021, after 1 years, 2017, 2018, 2019, after 4 years. So originally, in years na therefore, lang yan. Tingnan natin. Estimated the remaining life was 6 years. So remaining life was 6 years na lang. Okay, ito lang. Remaining 6. With no residual value, how should this be? How should this be accounted for? So meron tayong change remaining life. Punta sa boy. Revising future depreciation kasi perspective. Equal carrying amount. Consider natin carrying amount of January 1 divided by 6 divided by the remaining useful life. Actually, okay, kasi hindi natin yes, yung remaining useful life. Number 30. Answer natin last is boy. That was discussion on property, plant, and equipment.